So a little disappointment today, unfortunately, and now it's happened 3 times with the Gucci Guilty series of fragrances. Gucci Guilty Pour Homme Love Edition Mmxxi just launched. Now, I looked at the notes and everything about this fragrance. It sounded great. I blind bought it because it wasn't available anywhere here. I got it. Third one now that I'm disappointed with. Gucci Guilty Pour Homme Eau de Parfum came out earlier this year. Gucci Guilty Love Edition in the green bottle came out this year. And now this one, which is supposed to be a 2021 launch according to the release date, but it's selling currently, and again, once again, really disappointing release. So I'm going to tell you about this one, what I think about it, all the details about the fragrance, and then also tell you 5 more fragrances that I'm not going to be buying anymore, as I'm kind of bored of them. All right, so if you're curious to learn about these fragrances, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. I was really excited about this one. Gucci Guilty Pour Homme Love Edition Mmxxi. Such a complicated name. Why do we need 2 love editions? So many different flankers. So many different flankers within a year's time even. And they're all very disappointing releases, sadly. I think this collection is not one of my favorite collections. But of course they gave us Gucci Guilty Pour Homme, or Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme first, and then they also gave us the Parfum version of the Absolute, which I liked both of, and then also love the Oud that they came out, the Gucci Guilty Absolute Oud, and then also the Gucci Guilty Cologne. All 4 of those fragrances, awesome releases, so I was kind of hoping that this might go in that direction, but sadly it does not. It's disappointing. I don't like the original DNA or creation of the original fragrance, Gucci Guilty Pour Homme, so I think now they're relying on that smell and they're giving us an update of the fragrance with new notes. Anyway, this is launched, or it's launching very soon, Gucci Guilty Pour Homme Love Edition Mmxxi. I'll tell you all about this. Plus, I'll tell you about the 5 fragrances that I won't be buying anymore, including this one, so that's a total of 6 fragrances. But if this is your first time tuning into my channel, and you still haven't subscribed to the channel, please do click the subscribe button below, and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So who is a fan of the Gucci Guilty Pour Homme collection of fragrances? Which is your favorite? My favorite happens to be Gucci Guilty Pour Homme, or Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme. Although it was called Gucci Guilty Absolute when it first came out, then the feminine version came out, so then it was called Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme. But you know, I like all 4 of those fragrances equally for what they are. They're really great fragrances, great designer releases, and Gucci has done some great releases recently. In addition to those fragrances, they have some additional unique fragrances that are not part of the Guilty collection. But this one I was really anticipating, and I looked up the notes and I saw flowers, I saw lavender. Obviously it's kind of a lavenderish colored bottle, and I thought, you know what, this is going to be great. You know, it's going to be great, but you know, I actually don't like this one as much as I like the one with the ginger, the green bottle. And so even though I never reviewed that one, I owned it and I got rid of it because it was, you know, not something I was too excited about. But now I'm even not liking this one as much as I like the ginger one, because it really doesn't make sense to have these fragrances, because it's relying on that original smell of Gucci Guilty Pour Homme that I guess I just never really loved or liked even. Anyway, this is a 2021 launch. It's considered an aromatic woody or an aromatic floral, but they call it an aromatic fougere. I don't get much of a fougere with this one. It's created by Alberto Morillas, and the price is 90 ml for $95. It's Eau de Toilette concentration. What are the notes with this one? Top notes are lavender, lemon, heart notes, orange blossom, white flowers, honey, base notes, cedar, patchouli. Now those notes sound great, right? They really do sound great. But for me, I don't get much of anything except for the original DNA, which I'm really not a fan of. So is that what's kind of like crossing out all the notes that are in here that I want to smell? The white flowers, the orange blossom, the lavender. Even though they're calling it an aromatic fougere, I don't get the fougere-like qualities. And I think just because they have lavender in the notes, is it automatically a fougere? It doesn't act like a fougere. It doesn't act like a barbershop fragrance. it's just relying heavily on the previous version of the fragrance. Now when you first spray the fragrance on, it immediately takes you to the original DNA, most likely the original Eau de Toilette of Gucci Guilty Pour Homme. You do get a little bit of lavender, but the lavender smells sort of synthetic. It doesn't really smell like real lavender. Think Molinard's Lavande, awesome lavender fragrance. Tom Ford's Lavender Extreme, great lavender fragrance. Both of those remind me of one another, but it doesn't really smell like anything like that. It doesn't smell like the lavender in Beau de Jour from Tom Ford. It doesn't smell like the lavender in Houbigant's Fougere Royale. It doesn't smell like anything like that except for like a very synthetic smelling, plasticky kind of a lavender fragrance, which I want to smell the real thing, and I don't get it here. And as I said, white flowers do not come in, not at all. I'm not getting the white flowers. I'm not getting the orange blossom. I might get like real little hints of those notes, but not much. There is a sweetness in here. Perhaps it's coming from that honey note, but mostly is what I'm getting is basically the original DNA of whatever the fragrance was. I am getting woodsy touches with the base notes here, the cedar, and then of course the patchouli, and that's pretty much what I'm experiencing here. So it's a disappointing, ultra disappointing release, very synthetic smelling fragrance, and too many flankers of this one fragrance, I think. I'm complaining. This is a complaint video, sadly. I was expecting a much more of a great fragrance. I'm even liking the bottle, even loving the text on the bottle, as you can see. Very, very Gucci-esque, and their, you know, clothing designs and things like that. So I'm enjoying the bottle and its the design work, but that's pretty much what I'm enjoying in this fragrance. Not the fragrance itself, but the bottle and all that good stuff. So sad day for me. Very, very disappointing blind buy, and this is not something I would ever buy again. As I said, I do like the green version better, the previous Love edition with the ginger note. But that once again reminded me of the original Gucci Guilty Pour Homme series of fragrances. The best ones, as I said, Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme, Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Femme, Gucci Guilty Oud, Gucci Guilty Cologne. Those are awesome flankers in the series. Awesome, awesome flankers. Great, great fragrances. But this one just completely falls flat. Let me know how many of you have sampled it and or are anticipating it or are interested in it. But let me know if you're fans of it and if you're the fans of the original series, and how about the 4 that I like? Do you like those 4 fragrances from this collection? Anyway, those are my thoughts on Gucci Guilty Pour Homme Love Edition Mmxxi. It's a mouthful for that. And speaking of lavender, this is one that I will never buy again. It was once again a blind buy. Very excited about the collection of this designer, the British designer Dunhill, and they launched 2 fragrances together, Valençol Lavender and a citrus one. But the lavender, the Valençol Lavender, was so disappointing. Very, very synthetic smelling lavender. Once again, it doesn't really smell like what lavender should smell like, you know? It's just a very, very I don't know, disappointing smell, you know? I like my notes to smell true and authentic, and this does not smell authentic or true. It's a very, very synthetic smelling lavender, almost a rubbery kind of metallic notes combined together is what I get with this one. Doesn't work with my chemistry. I don't like the way it smells an initial spray. I don't like the way it smells when I'm wearing it. It's a very, very disappointing release. But according to the notes, it's supposed to have lavender, lemon, saffron, clary sage, amberwood, and that's the note I think I don't really care for. I thought amberwood was something like ambroxan, but to me, anytime I see it in a designer fragrance, it pretty much is a very, very disappointing release, and I didn't realize it was featured in this particular fragrance. Now the other fragrance that came out together with this is pretty good. It's not like a fragrance that I haven't smelled before. The Amalfi, I think it's called Amalfi Citrus, something like that. I'm drawing a blank now. I should have pulled it out. But that one's actually a great smell. It smells great. But this one is a disappointing smell, absolute disappointing smell. Now we have 2 or 3 in this collection that I don't like the smell of. I also do not like the British leather, but for me in this collection, Indian sandalwood, Moroccan amber are the 2 great ones that are really, really great smelling fragrances. Anyway, that one I will not be buying anymore. It's Dunhill's Valençol lavender. Now this next one, the reason I'm not going to be buying anymore is because I think it's gone through so much reformulation. It's a thin fragrance for me now in comparison to when I first sampled it back in 2006 when it was first launched. This is YSL's L'Homme, this one right here. I haven't spoken much about it. I've spoken about it on the old channel, and I think since the start of this channel and the previous channel, it started going through changes, and the formulations are gotten weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. So the very first time I sampled this was in France when it has just launched. It launched in 2006, and I went to France for the first time in the fall of 2006, and it was everywhere there, everywhere. And I was spraying it and really enjoying it. And at that time, it was reminding, well, no, not at that time. A couple years later, Diptyque launched their 34 Boulevard Saint Germain fragrance. And at that time, the two fragrances were sort of reminding me of one another. And I really enjoyed both of them because this one is very, very spicy and also gingery. Also features tonka beans, bergamot, and violet leaf note. So it was a pretty darn good release, and it was also created by Olivier Polge, who now works for Chanel, creating their fragrances. But it's gotten weaker and weaker and weaker and lighter. So it's almost like, imagine Armani's Acqua di Gio. It used to be a lot more deeper and richer when it first came out in 1997, but they're both under you know, L'Oreal as a house, and they tend to really like reformulate and kind of ruin fragrances for me. So in the end, I feel like the smell is pretty good still, but it's such a weak fragrance. It's such a light fragrance that I'm kind of done with it. You know, I still like La Nuit de la Homme from this collection. I really like its smell. It's a strong and pretty intense smell, even though the longevity might not be great. But as a smell, it still smells great for its cardamom. It's a flanker of this one. But this one just has gotten weak. I don't know, at least for me it's gotten weak, but I don't know about you guys. What do you think? Are you fans of this one? And are you still enjoying the way it smells? How does it last on you? Do let me know. Put a comment down below. So this next one, it's a little disappointing with this one as well. I'm just tired of the smell, I think. It's from the house of Dolce & Gabbana, the 1 EDP. This is it right here. And this one, I enjoy... Wait. I take that back. Sorry about that. This is not created by Olivier Polge. This one is created by Olivier Polge. This one has multiple perfumers attached to the creation. And once again, we're going with multiple perfumers that kind of like don't create a great fragrance, but I think it worked here initially when they first launched it, even though it was multiple perfumers. But here with Dolce & Gabbana's the 1 EDP, this is created by Olivier Polge. And you know, I like the combination of the amber tobacco with the ginger. We got ginger, 2 fragrances back to back. Cardamom, grapefruit, you know, it was a pretty good concoction, but I'm just kind of bored of it. It's gotten really boring for me. And for me, this one, it wears kind of sticky. There's something sticky and gummy about the fragrance. And, you know, I enjoyed it for a long time, but I'm just kind of gotten bored of this one. And I kind of prefer Royal Night over this one now. Royal Night has a little bit of slight Middle Eastern-esque kind of oriental touch to it that I'm actually appreciating a little more than this particular one. But my favorite of this collection is Mysterious Night, the one with the rose, which to me doesn't even really smell like this. They might be using some of the notes with it. But what do you guys think? You fans of this particular fragrance? Let me know. Put some comments down. I don't talk much about it. I used to talk a lot more about it. And the previous original Eau de Toilette version, I used to speak more about it on the old channel. But I've kind of gotten bored of the smell. But let me know what you guys think. Are you fans? Do you like it? Have you gotten bored of it like I have? Please put a comment down so I can find out. Now this next one I was obsessed with for a long time. But something about it, either my chemistry changed or the fragrance started smelling different to me, and I kind of gotten really bored and tired of it. So this is Hermes Bel Ami Vetiver. How many of you are fans of this one? I featured this in a lot of videos, but something happened to my chemistry. There's something in here now that kind of rubs me the wrong way. But this is known for leather, vetiver, elemi resin, amber, and styrax. I think it's still a great fragrance, but for me, it's not working with my chemistry anymore. I kind of resent it you know. I think before I used to experience the vetiver more. Now it's become a kind of a very chalky smelling leather fragrance, which I like leather fragrances, I enjoy them, but I'm not enjoying it with Bel Ami Vetiver. What do you guys think? Are you fans of Bel Ami Vetiver? Now, I think people have tastes, you know, their tastes change. Mine does all the time. I'll be listening to one song over and over and over again, and I get bored of it, and I move on to another song. I'll come back to the song initially. So I'm not going to get rid of this particular fragrance. I'm going to keep it. In fact, I'm going to keep all of these fragrances except for a few. I'll get rid of some of the ones that I've known a lot longer than 2 new ones. But this one, I might come back to it and enjoy it again, but currently I just am not enjoying this particular fragrance. But let me know if this has happened to you. You buy a fragrance, you really love it, and then all of a sudden you're hating it. That's what's happened with Bel Ami Vetiver from Hermes. And Hermes is not a house that I talk a lot about. I should start. They do have some great fragrances. How many of you are fans of Hermes? Let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. Last but not least, this fragrance. I bought it blind once again. Blind buys are becoming a little dangerous lately. I'm hating more and more fragrances, and even though I did a video of this collection of fragrances, 3 of them, there was their tobacco fragrance, there was their leather fragrance, and then this particular one's special blend. And the special blend, wow, it is such an awful smell. Really, really animalic and weird at the same time. I mean, I'm obsessed with the tobacco. The leather one I like. This one smells like medicine gone bad in a bad way. I'm sorry to say that, but you might be a fan of this one. And there's a whole subjectivity thing again coming up. I don't usually like to diss fragrances, but this was a really, really bad blind buy. The tobacco from Hermes. Amazing tobacco. I love that combination of tobacco with that tonka bean note. But this one, man, who's a fan of it? I read the notes and I was like, okay, I gotta get it because it seems like it's gonna be great. It sounds like the tobacco is great. Everybody loves it. The leather should be good. The leather is okay. It's not a wow kind of great fragrance like the tobacco is, but this one is one disappointing fragrance. And I think it's the combination of the cashmeran with the cypriol note are not really working wonderfully together. And I saw the note of whiskey in here. I don't get much whiskey. I don't get much whiskey. I don't know. Amber tonic, tonka beans, bergamot. Those are the notes that are credited for this one. But this is a very, very disappointing fragrance. Who's a fan? Let me know. Hermes is a house that used to create great fragrances. Now, I was doing some research online and people were saying this is like a great alternative to the original Hermes. I love the original Hermes. This one is a really, really bad creation. Who gave the green light to this one? I don't even know. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I tried and tried and tried it. Every time I try it, I can't wear it. I just can't. Anyway, special blend from Hermes. I know that fragrances are all very subjective, guys. I hope you're not upset at me for dissing one of your favorite fragrances, because a lot of times I get that from you guys. But stay tuned for a second video today on the whole topic of subjectivity, longevity, performance of fragrances, and skin chemistry. Because this is a topic I've been wanting to do for a while, but I haven't, but I'm going to do it today, and I think this is a nice segue to that video today. 2 videos in one day. It's going to be more of a, you know, sort of a rant video, but just the idea of subjectivity, longevity, and skin chemistry. Stay tuned for that in a few hours. But anyway, guys, let me know if you're fans of these fragrances. Let me know if you hate them. Let me know if you've gone through the whole thing where you bought a fragrance, you liked it, and you hated it. And let me know how many bad blind buys you've had. I mean, do you have a lot of blind buys? I used to not have a lot of blind buys, but these days with the pandemic, I'm buying more online, and I think that's why I'm having more blind buys, because I'm not out much sampling fragrances. And even though things like this don't appear at our Macy's, at least maybe I haven't seen them, but that was a very, very bad blind buy. And then Dunhill's fragrances are never released here anyway. No, I take that back. This particular collection has not, but Dunhill's Icon and the 4 fragrances in that whole Icon This is called the Icon collection, but Icon plus its additional alternatives were sold or are sold here at Neiman Marcus, but this clear bottle ones have not been sold here. Also, let me know what your thoughts are on the new Gucci Guilty Love Pour Homme MMXXI. Does it sound great to you? Do you like the bottle? Put some comments down so I can find out. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.